What's going on, my heavy breathing homies? Today I felt a little greedy and made some cinnamon roll buttermilk biscuits. Yeah, you heard me correctly. Cinnamon roll buttermilk biscuits. Crazy, right?
Woo! Recipe coming out September, spring, summer.
Nah, I played too much, but for real, let's get to cooking. So first you're gonna wanna go ahead and add 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour. Now this is gonna follow the flour measurements exact from my biscuit recipe, which is on my website. Next, you wanna go and sift that flour into the bowl. Baker's tip, don't skip this step because you don't want any lumps in your dough or anything like that, you feel me? Now once that's done, you can go ahead and add the remaining dry ingredients, which is a tablespoon of sea dandruff, 4 tablespoons of granulated sugar, 2 tablespoons of baking powder, and then you're gonna wanna whisk it all until well combined. Place that bowl to the side, and now you're gonna wanna get some butter. Now this butter has been frozen for 10 hours, primarily because I forgot to take it out, but that's fine. Frozen butter equates to flaky layers, so the longer that it's frozen, the better off the final product. But a good hour or so in the freezer should do the trick for you. Now you're gonna wanna go ahead and grate that stick of butter into the bowl, and then using your hand, mix it up until you get a nice sand-like consistency. Now we have another step to go to, so I would suggest putting this in the freezer or the fridge to stay cold to avoid that butter from melting until you're finished. Now the next step requires a cup of buttermilk, but for one, it's snowing badly outside, and two, we can make a viable alternative. Simply just take a cup of whole milk and 1.5 tablespoons of plain vinegar. The acidity from the vinegar will help curdle the milk to form a buttermilk substitute. Additionally, if you don't have any vinegar, lemon juice will do just fine. You're gonna wanna mix that up and place it to the side. Now for the cinnamon roll mixture, this one's simple. In a large enough bowl, add a stick of unsalted butter, making sure that it's room temperature so it spreads easier. Add 1.5 cups of brown sugar and then a tablespoon of cinnamon. So then you're gonna add like a teaspoon of nutmeg, not too much now, and then start to fold it together. Now as you fold, you can add a little bit of vanilla extract at a time, and then just keep folding it up and then mixing it until you get a paste-like consistency just like this. I'm loving the way this melanated spread is looking, so let's continue. Now we can take our bowl right out the freezer and create a well right in the center. Pour that milk right in and start folding in the flour into the middle. I'd recommend starting with a plastic spatula to make it a little bit easier and mix until you get a soft, workable dough. Now at this stage, you can use your hands and you can start to bring that together. The dough should form rather easily. I'd even recommend adding like a teaspoon of flour to your hands and making sure that your hands are cold so the dough doesn't stick up or anything. If you need a quick way to make your hands cold, just like stick them in the freezer or like hold an ice pack for a minute and it should do just fine. Real quick, I'm gonna grease a pan and place it to the side as well. This is where I'm gonna add the finished form biscuits once they're ready to bake. Now the real work can begin. You're gonna gently flour your work surface because now it's time to form and shape our biscuits. Now initially, you can use a rolling pin to roll out the dough. You wanna form somewhat of a resemblance to a rectangle as possible. Then you're gonna wanna spread that cinnamon roll butter across the dough like you would a cinnamon roll. And then like any biscuit recipe, you're gonna wanna fold it in thirds like a letter. Now once you do, instead of rolling it out with the rolling pin, bang the dough gently and shape it that way. By doing this, you avoid that cinnamon roll spread from falling out on the sides. Not sure if y'all seen how croissants are made, but it's kind of similar in that fashion to where you wanna like bang it gently to roll it out and form. But if you haven't, I just taught you something new. Now repeat this process and place that dough in the freezer for like 20 minutes before cutting into your biscuits. This way the spread doesn't melt. Now when you cut your biscuits, do not twist it, okay? Don't twist it. Twisting will mess up the edges and the composition of the biscuit. Simply just press down that cutter and voila. The biscuits should come out just like this. Now once they're all formed, you're gonna place them back in the freezer for about another 20 minutes and preheat your oven to 450 degrees. You're gonna wanna brush the tops of those biscuits to help them look nice and brown. I brushed mine with a combination of 1 egg yolk and a couple of teaspoons of whole milk. However, if you have some of that buttermilk left from earlier, you can just use that too. Bake these for about 15 to 20 minutes. The tops are gonna be a little brown and that's fine, but it's important that the center is fluffy and cooked thoroughly. We're gonna let these cool for a little bit while we go ahead and make our cream cheese frosting. Now I made my cream cheese frosting using a whole 8-ounce container of cream cheese, making sure that it was room temperature again. Then we're gonna add a stick of unsalted butter, which is also at room temperature. And then I cream the two together first. Now you're gonna be doing this next step often, but I would recommend every now and then mixing and then getting a plastic spatula to kind of scrape the sides down and bring everything to the center. Add some vanilla extract too. I used 2 teaspoons worth, and then once that's mixed in, I added the first cup of powdered sugar. Same as earlier, mix, scrape the sides, mix, and repeat. And now you're gonna go ahead and add that last cup of powdered sugar and mix on medium until you get a nice thick frosting. I know I was playing around earlier, but for real though, if you want the full recipe, just go to my website, cookingwithpatlee.com.
This might be the best dessert I ever made.
These were so good, and I've got some other great recipes that you and the family will enjoy. Anyway, thanks for watching. Y'all stay safe out there, and until the next time we feast, peace.